is not one size fits all within actual religions. The visual representation of God varies widely. But how we picture God is just the beginning of the brain's interaction with the religious or supernatural world.
Let's play a game. Tell us what you see here. Did you say a church and its steeple? Perfectly clear and as solid as can be, right? Well, you're half right. From a distance, it appears to be a fully functioning church, but with a little change in perspective, you'll see your initial guess might not be quite so solid. Called reading between the lines, the structure is actually an illusion created by a Belgian architecture firm out of 100 layers of horizontal steel plates. It's a structure meant to raise questions about belief. But some sacred architecture can actually help increase your belief.
I'm in front of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in the heart of Jerusalem's Old City. Built by Emperor Constantine nearly 1,700 years ago, it's one of the holiest places on earth for Christians.
But what's really amazing is how spaces like this can inspire a sense of awe, regardless of your beliefs. Like most cathedrals, it has extremely high ceilings and vertical lines, drawing your eye to the heavens. High windows create a magical seeming play of light. And complex designs throughout the space can inspire feelings of mystery and wonder. Almost like optical illusions. Remember that checkerboard illusion? I know, works every time, right? But let's take this up a notch. What do you see now? The lines aren't just curving anymore, right? Do you feel the whole pattern pulsing or waving? Kind of mesmerizing, isn't it? Try this one on for size. Lean closer to the black and white circle, and then lean back away from it. Do you see it darkening and getting lighter? A narrowing and widening tunnel of light and dark? Well, it's actually not changing at all. Your change in perspective by leaning back and forth is what causes the image to appear to change. Pretty cool, right? Even though religious spaces might not use these exact visual illusions, they do use visual elements like geometry, patterns, and the contrast of light and dark to instill in your brain a very real sense of awe and contemplation.
But vision is just one of the senses. Let's see how well sacred spaces can affect our brains.
Sound is actually a key factor to how many of us experience the world and God. To explore this idea, Dr. Trevor Cox, an expert on sound perception, has gathered a mix of religious and non-religious volunteers at St. John the Evangelist Church, just outside of London.
Well, thanks for coming along. I've got a little game for us to play. So I'm going to play some music to you, and I want to see how you respond. All you've got to do is write one word as your response.
You can play along too. Listen to the organ music and think of a word to describe how it makes you feel.
Take it away, Herman.
So, what word came to mind? Let's see what our volunteers wrote down.
OK, so what did you write?
I've got joyful.
Oh, right, OK.
I have joy as well.
OK, well, I've got a complete agreement there.
I went with uplifted.
Well.
And I've got joyful as well.
Oh, right.
Did you also think of the word joyful or something similar? Most listeners had a positive reaction.
So we've all really pretty much agreed that this piece of music is something uplifting and joyful. Well, we'll have the second tune now.
Are you listening? Think of a word that describes this next piece of music. So, what word did you think of? Let's compare your reaction to our volunteers.
So what did you write then?
I put scared.
Oh, right, scary music.
I went with ominous.
Oh, yes.
I wrote urgent.
Oh, right.
Urgency.
And I've got anxious.
So we've got a completely different range of emotions for that piece of music.
How did your responses match up with our participants? If you used a word like joyful to describe the first tune, it's most likely because it was written in a major key, one of the most basic arrangements of musical notes.
We find bright music written in a major key is joyful. When we have these really simple notes that go together nicely, we get what's called a consonant sound, and actually slightly easier to process in our brain, and we associate it with something really pleasant.
The second piece is written in a minor key, and you probably described it as scary or tense. But that reaction partly depends on where you're from.
What happens with a minor key is it kind of generates anxiety and gets those anxious parts of our brain going. But that's possibly a learnt reaction. Because we're from the West, we've learnt that minor key relates to something sad. Whereas if you go to Eastern Europe, you have plenty of joyful music, which is in a minor key as well. I mean, funnily enough, religious music isn't so different to the music you might hear in the movie. It's about manipulating your emotions. OK, let's hear tune number 3.
For the final round, once again, think of a word to describe your feeling about this piece of music. What word came to mind this time around?
I've got respect.
OK, and your word?
I came up with powerful.
And your word?
Powerful.
And finally?
I've
but
put
not least-
happy.
Ah. The thing about music is we have some inbuilt processing that our brain does to it. And it was interesting, a couple of you said powerful. So you associate power, for example, with, you know, how much bass there is in the instrument. And that's probably why lots of churches have really big organs with huge, great pipes on them, because that gives you a really powerful sound. And of course, you want God at some points to appear to be powerful.
Combining and amplifying these kinds of musical effects can even prime you to believe.
One thing that an architecture like this does is it makes the sound linger. And we're not just hearing the music straight from the organ, we're hearing the effect of this ginormous cathedral.
We've seen how the outside world can help your brain believe in God, but does it work the other way, inside out? Are there things inside our brains that help us see the divine in the world around us? Sometimes we believe what our brain is telling us to believe.
To show you how, let's play a game.